It doesn't have third row seating, but I thought I'll still give it a go anyway. Just check out the boot space on the new Duster. It is definitely one of the vehicles that's certainly getting a lot of attention right now in our Indian market. Welcome to CNB, folks. It's a brand new episode. I'm Siddharth Vinayak Partnkar, and we have the Duster once again with us. Of course, you've seen it on the show before, but given the kind of excitement around this vehicle, it is definitely one of the most in-demand vehicles in our market right now. We thought we'll get into it just a little bit more today on the program. In fact, we decided to make it a bit of an SUV special. So you're going to see lots of SUVs on the program today, something I know that many of you really enjoy. Let's get started then with a little refresher on the new Duster. So as I said, here's what you probably remember already. The Duster is meant to be frugal, to build, buy and own. It's not trying to be upmarket or swanky, and yet it catches your eye. The looks are fairly masculine and butch, with strong lines and a design that implies width. The car is by no means pretty, but certainly is attractive nonetheless. The roof rails and the heavy chrome grille just add to the appeal. The Duster is available in 2 diesel and 1 petrol engine options. It is only 2-wheel drive, it's got decent cabin space, and today we once again have the top-end RZX 1.5 litre 108 bhp diesel variant priced at 11,30,000 rupees ex-showroom Delhi. So it's a formidable package. It is definitely attractively priced as well, but it's only available in 4x2. Now, what if you wanted something else? You didn't really want the Duster. What's in the market? Well, you got the old Safari from Tata. You've also got the old Scorpio from Mahindra. But let's talk a little bit more contemporary. And so if you want to spend a little bit more money and you also want the option of a 4x4, well, then you've also got this, don't you? The Cheetah. That's right. The XUV 500. The kind of popularity and excitement that you're seeing around the Duster kind of reminds you a little bit of what you saw with the XUV. Of course, the XUV was, I think, a little bit more of a phenomenon than the Duster is. But this is definitely looking still like a fairly comprehensive package. It is still fairly attractively priced. The looks to some people are a little bit overdone, but it's a little bit bigger. It looks more imposing perhaps than the Duster does. And of course, as you know, it's loaded with a whole lot more features. But on interiors, etc., there are a few things. We'll talk about that in just a bit. But globally speaking, especially in Europe, in UK, for example, the big rival for the Duster is this car. Now, this is, of course, the Skoda Yeti, also available in 4x4 and 4x2. But today we're talking only about comparing to the Duster. So we've got only 2-wheel drives on the show. And the little SUV, which hasn't really gained acceptance because people think it's too small and too compact, is really premium in the way it's built. It is priced differently though, all 3 of them are. Let's put them together to figure out which one makes the most sense to buy. So 3 compact SUVs that want to be your ride in the urban jungle. The straight advantage that the XUV and Yeti have is that they are also available in 4-wheel drive. None of them are conventionally good looking and almost border on weird in their proportions, design cues, and some of the elements like the headlamps, for instance. The XUV 500 though will win any survey that we could do in India as the most desirable looking. Though I gotta say that I like all 3 of them for their individuality. The engine options on the Duster are the most diverse, with varying outputs to boot. The XUV uses the biggest engine and the option is just for that all-wheel drive. While the Yeti also offers differently tuned variants for the same 2-litre common rail diesel block, none offer automatic transmission options, sadly. Now let's step inside the cabins, shall we? Very comfortable cabin the Duster has, comfy seats. The driver seat sits a little high for my liking. Decent on equipment, decent on colors and fit and finish. Pretty strong air conditioning, including this rear AC vent, which is a good idea always in India, but the way it's been built, it actually eats into the legroom at the back, and so the third passenger at the back might find themselves being a little cramped. You get a little bit of pampering in terms of Bluetooth phone and of course iPod connectivity, but that's about it. No touch screens, no navigation, nothing fancy. Now the XUV, it's definitely a whole lot roomier and it gives you a sense of style as well. It may be overdone for some people, and the plastic levels perhaps a little bit tacky even now, though compare them to the other Mahindras and then it starts to look a lot better. There are two versions in terms of trims. You get the higher version, which is what I have right now. The touchscreen, there's a whole lot there. There's the music system, there is the navigation, there's trip computer, vehicle information, all of that is in there. And so lots in terms of equipment. It really pampers you. The air conditioning is pretty effective too. And if it wasn't for this plastic quality, I think it would definitely be just a clear winner. There is an option of beige and brown, and of course black and plum as well. Despite its name, the Yeti has the smallest cabin of the three, and yet it is the best in terms of fit and finish and plastic quality. No doubt about it, it's VW Group territory, so you of course have seen all of this before. You don't get the touchscreen on the base version, of course, or the middle version, but you still have the inbuilt music system, fairly effective air conditioning. However, there is no USB input or Bluetooth connectivity, which could go a little bit against this car, especially now that it's standard even on small hatches. So the three are indeed very different on the inside too, aren't they? The Yeti comes across as most plush, while the XUV 500 is certainly highest on the goodies list. Now, let's drive. The Duster itself doesn't feel like a very high vehicle like some other SUVs, but within the cabin, this driver's seat is placed a little bit high, so that feels a little awkward. I wish there was a height adjustment for the seat. Now, besides that, the engine's a little clattery too, and you hear it. In fact, sound damping in general in the cabin isn't great, because even at slightly higher speeds, you keep thinking there's a window open in the car, and that's not a good thing. Now, the good bits. That, of course, is something you've heard me say on the show before. Effortless. I think that's the best way to put this combination of gearbox and engine, because it feels exactly like that. It is of course high in terms of fuel efficiency as well, and so that's the part of the package along with the handling that does end up being a bit of a winner. It's a commanding driving position, very comfortable seat, great driver presence and positioning. I think that's what really works for the XUV, and of course the engine's fairly powerful too, so it's responsive and it gives you that. Though the downside is that despite it being a monocoque, you still get a little bit of body roll still. And of course I have to also add that it makes for a more fun drive when you're on the highway. It's a good cruiser. In city traffic, Mahindra might want to consider throwing in a variant with automatic transmission. Got the best handling for sure of the three. The Yeti definitely has very car-like comfort, car-like feel, and it's very satisfying to drive. Once again, where the Yeti feels most nimble and offers a great ride, the XUV seems to outdo on comfort and space. Plus, it's the only one with a third row seating option. And so, as it always does, it all comes down to the prices. And here it's plain to see why the Duster is making so much noise in the marketplace. The car is very aggressively priced, and even in markets like the UK, for instance, it starts at about £10,000, while the Yeti starts at about 15 grand. And of course, there it is branded Dacia, while in India, it's the more premium Renault badge, isn't it? All hell may just break loose when Ford launches the EcoSport in 5 months' time, and then the mini SUV space may separate itself from compact SUVs altogether. And like I said, we've got to still see where Tata puts its Safari Storm too. There's a good reason why everybody took to the XUV in such a big way in the Indian market, because the market was starved for something as premium and fully loaded at that kind of price point. We're going to see more and more action at that price point, and if you want something a little bit more premium, perhaps a little more practical, women drivers in particular will like the Yeti as well. But all told, given the fact that price is such an important factor in our market and its nice drivability, fuel efficiency, it has to be the new vehicle. It wasn't an easy choice, but I can tell you the Duster does then end up being the best vehicle to buy amongst these three, and really the price ends up, like I said, being the overriding factor. Now it is time for a short break here, but before that we want to talk about the Mahindra AQ. It is time for us to get into the AQ for this year, and we're going to be visiting a whole lot of colleges and universities. If you want to take part, here is the schedule for this year's AQ in all the 4 zones. We're just going to run you through first the North Zone, a whole lot of colleges here. You can see that there's a lot of engineering schools and of course business schools as well. Then you got the East Zone, where remember we had our champion from the AQ last year from Tezpur University. Well, we'll be going back to the East Zone, all those colleges on your screens along with the dates. And then of course you've also got the South Zone, where traditionally we've had a lot of strong teams, especially from Chennai and of course Bangalore as well. Finally, the West Zone, where a lot of the engineering schools as well as the business schools throw up some pretty stiff competition as well. You are seeing those dates and that schedule on your screens. So all of you who want to take part and are of course students at engineering or business schools, those are the centers where you can go across to on those particular dates and take part, and we look forward to your participation because it's going to be fun and perhaps even more intense. Lots of prizes too up for grabs. Remember, we've had our past winners going across to global motor shows, going dune bashing in Dubai as well, and so plenty to play for. That's the Mahindra AQ coming your way later this year. It is now time for that break, our sector snapshot as we slip into it. See you on the other side. Welcome back to CNB, folks. As we came out of that break, you saw our question of the week, something new we are starting. I would like for you to participate every week, and of course we'll feature it on the program. Nice to see that many of you agree that India needs a good recall law, and that recalls are a good thing, which of course they are. Now we're talking SUVs on the program today. You saw 3 of them in the first segment. Now there's a few more we've got lined up for you. First up, it's the Pajero Sport from Mitsubishi. It's been around just over 3 months, yet it's still a relatively unknown quantity. And well, we haven't seen it on the show as yet either, have we? The Mitsubishi Pajero Sport is the latest launch from the Japanese company through its local Hindustan Motors tie-up. The second generation SUV draws on what Mitsubishi is known for: good, capable four-wheel drives and some rallying DNA. The result is a typical Pajero, rough, ready and a bit of a rogue. The Pajero Sport is based on the Triton pickup truck, which means it has a ladder-on-frame chassis and is not monocoque, like say a Duster or even an XUV 500, which is in keeping with the likes of its contemporaries, the Toyota Fortuner for instance. In fact, like the Fortuner, which is also based on a pickup truck, the Pajero Sport was also designed specifically for the Southeast Asian region. But we are getting it about 4 years after its regional launch. This vehicle shouldn't be confused with the global Pajero though, which we have in its second and fourth generation avatars here in India, also selling alongside. The second gen is the 1991 vintage, while the more recent one is what we call the Montero in our market. So the second generation has been around since 2008. The Pajero Sport badging kind of tiny at the back, and remember it's called Challenger in some other markets, also called Montero Sport in the Philippines market. The point, it is based on the Triton pickup, and so which is why you get this ladder on frame, very obvious kind of a build quality. Look at this gap. I mean, that is huge. That holds the promise of some pretty good off-roading and good maneuverability over really bad broken roads. What it does for handling, we'll find out in just a bit. But the face, fairly attractive. I'm not sure that it's going to definitely get in a lot of fans just based on looks, but while it is exactly like the Triton pickup, again, what I do like is that once again the ride height is nice and tall, and the hood itself is relatively short compared to some of the SUVs like the Fortuner, etc. And why that helps is because you can actually turn out of tricky parking spots, etc. with much greater ease, which for a vehicle this size is pretty admirable. The face has been borrowed from the Pajero Evo rally car, and while it ain't pretty, it's different alright. The awkward height though is still balanced. Inside, the cabin feels just about as fresh as a Backstreet Boys song, meaning that the look, fit and feel belong in the late 90s. But the quality of the cabin is good. The dash is basic with smart climate control knobs borrowed from the Outlander, electric mirrors and driver seat, a tilt steering, parking sensors, ABS and airbags are also standard. The music system is adequate, the seats are roomy enough, there is 3-row air conditioning along the roof, and third row of pop-up seats are better left collapsed to create more boot space, though they will be comfy enough for short rides. The Pajero Sport has a 2.5-litre turbocharged diesel engine with a smart 175 horses and a nice throaty 400 Nm of torque. The transmission is 5-speed manual, but it would have been brilliant to have a 6-speed in here. It's almost too growly, this engine, but I didn't think it held much promise when I saw the numbers, assuming the fact that despite the high VHP figure there, you know, it's just going to end up being a little underpowered compared to the competition. But it does surprise you because not only is the power delivery nice and satisfying, but the shorter gearing actually helps to overcome some of the lag, and I think that's been smartly done by the engineers at Mitsubishi. So it ends up being a pretty good fun ride with the vehicle actually responding to your needs fairly well. Now, the suspension was of course looking very obviously tuned towards off-roading, and so I again didn't have very great expectations to the on-road characteristics. Again, I'm happy to be a little bit surprised there because it ends up being a fairly comfortable ride. So of course, given the ladder on frame chassis, there is a fair amount of body roll. Yeah, so despite the anti-roll bars at both ends, there is roll. But you know that when you see the SUV for the first time, well before you ride it. Overall, though, the suspension is very solid, and I was particularly impressed with its great ride capability despite its height when I took it off-road. four-wheel drive can be engaged in high or low modes on the fly, and yes, you can also lock the differential in. The Pajero Sport has a go-anywhere character that makes it nimble, fun, responsive and ready for any challenge. So what's the catch? The old gen feel? Nope. The poor HM Mitsubishi network or brand presence? Nope. It's the price. You'd have gotten a great feeling from this story if the Pajero Sport had been a real steal, right? But at nearly 24.5 lakh rupees ex-showroom, the Pajero Sport is expensive. Take the Toyota Fortuner for instance. Its variants top off at 22 lakh rupees, and that includes the 4x4 and the auto option as well. Now, why would Mitsubishi do that to its already meager prospects in India? So the hardcore off-roader and the Mitsubishi fan will buy this car. Others, well, will settle for a lot less, which costs a lot less too. So I don't expect to see many of these on our roads anytime soon, which is a bit of a pity. So it's pretty capable, the Pajero Sport. Now, we're talking mainly, of course, about compact SUVs, and it's a sweet spot here in the Indian market, isn't it? In fact, globally, in Europe too, it's vehicles like these that are really doing well, which is why it's perplexing why Volkswagen India will still not bring the Tiguan to the Indian market. I do believe it's the perfect SUV because it combines compactness with a fair amount of performance and, of course, a lot of premiumness too. I had the chance to drive the latest Tiguan and, well, take a look for yourself and see if maybe we should petition to VW to bring it here to India. So as I said, it's a space that's very hot in India. There's no getting away from it. Compact SUVs are in, they're hip, they are practical and kind of aspirational too. The Tiguan was designed to be all of this and more when it first debuted in 2007. We have featured it before on CNB in 2008, but despite being pegged for India right at the start, it is still not here. And that's because due to the car's initial success, Volkswagen couldn't meet demand for it in Europe itself. And so it couldn't possibly think of shipping any kits out to India or anywhere else for that matter. I drove the 2012 facelifted Tiguan 2.0 TSI a few days ago from New York to Vermont in the United States. The 2-liter TSI is a gem. It's smooth and ample on par. The gearbox though was not as exciting as the latest Gen 7-speed DSGs that Volkswagen is doing in Europe. The 2.0 TSI performs well, is quick on the go, and given the vehicle's compact size and lightness, it is easy to maneuver too. Handling is just as I would expect from this German. Now, the primary reason that I feel that this car will be extremely attractive for the Indian market is not just because of its compact size, it's also the positioning and the aspirational value. A lot of Indians want SUVs, they want cars which are about this size, they're convenient, more practical, and of course, a whole lot cheaper to buy. The problem for Volkswagen is that very positioning. How to position and place this car in the Indian market will in fact be the biggest worry. Of course, VW has a 2-liter TDI diesel with 110, 140 and 170 bhp versions in Europe too, and that is what interests us obviously. But that's just the thing. Given where the Volkswagen Group companies have positioned their products and what the competition is doing with theirs in India, it's very tough to find space for the Tiguan. After all, its like-sized cousins bookend it here in India. The Skoda Yeti occupies the rather pricey 16 to 19 lakh rupee band, while the Audi Q3 is at 27 to 32 lakhs. And any other price in between makes the Tiguan just too small, since that price band belongs to hulks like the Toyota Fortuner. So that's the tragedy. Ideally, the Tiguan should have always been built in India and priced competitively. It would in fact still be a good plan, frankly, and could generate huge volumes for VW in India. Can I still hope that Volkswagen sees the light? Well, what do you think? Tell me at ndtv.com/Siddharth. So that's our look at the SUV space. We've covered it fairly comprehensively. There's of course lots happening at the premium end of that market, but what we are waiting for really now is the Tata Safari Storm. Can't wait to get my hands on that one. So it is time on that note to say okay Tata, and which means of course we'll be back next week with plenty more on the show. React to what you've seen. Please wear your seatbelts, please wear your helmets.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.